panel who can take the seat. We call first the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, Mrs. Patricia Nadef. Please can you kindly divide the point. Second, first we will call also a commissioner for the Human Rights Commission, and he also the sit here today as part of the inquiry panel. And no less a person but Mrs. Timothy Lavalley, Esquire, a lawyer as well. And that last person we call will also go sit up as part of the panelists, the inquiry panelists. He also a lawyer and a person where not a commissioner, but the commissioner done the good time that can help in this process because of the expertise and the knowledge we get in human rights. So it will help greatly among the lawyers in the country, and we just glad the way they are today. And who's the person called Mr. Abdul Karim Kouman, he's a lawyer. Welcome, sir. Now, as they don't take their seats, we encourage everyone for a very quiet, not so hot today, but a cut-like process every day on live as well. And this now a program where the government supports, and we're there for getting to the truth of what happened in Kabala, from 2016 to 2021. So the inquiry the government established the Human Rights Commission. So that they are today independently for get to the truth of what happened, that they will make recommendations, we will help for change law, change policies, and help for build a culture of human rights that we come to. And by the grace of God, we're there for 2 days. And so once we have full cooperation, we will done within this period and get these reports to government and see what the government will do with them. So once again, me and the lead consultant.
Thank you very much. Good morning once again. I will now hand you over to the presiding chairperson for this public inquiry.
So good morning to all the distinguished persons seated here. You know, from the human rights point of view, I don't want to start naming people. We are all actually at the same level, so good morning. So on behalf of the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, I welcome you all to the hearing of the public inquiry on the conduct of law enforcement officials within the period 2015 to 2021. So within this context, public officials are referred to here as the officials of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, the Sierra Leone Police, Correctional Service officers, the Sierra Leone Roads Authority, and also other Metropolitan Police officers. Let me state that I do appreciate your presence here this morning, despite your very tight schedules. You may want to know again what is a public inquiry and what gives the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone the power to conduct such inquiries. Public inquiries deal with matters of public concern which have become systemic or have been repeatedly occasioned against the society of a particular group of people. The purpose of public inquiries in general is to establish the facts by finding out what happened, why it happened, who are the persons responsible, who are the persons accountable, and to provide strong recommendations from lessons learned in order to prevent a recurrence of certain incidents. The Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone is the national institution created by Parliament through Act No. 9 of 2004 with the overall mandate to protect and promote the rights of all in Sierra Leone. We have several functions, one of which, as stipulated in Section 7.2.1 of our Act, requires the Commission to monitor and document human rights violations. I'm sure we are aware that human rights violations are actually, caused by state actors, persons who receive their salaries from the government's consolidated fund. The human rights, additionally, the human rights HRCSL conducts a public inquiry also falls within Section 7.2a of the HRCSS Act Number 9, which requires the Commission to investigate or inquire into, on its own or on complaints by any person, any allegation of human rights violations and report thereupon in writing. Both Section 7.2f and Section 7.2a are strongly reinforced by Rule 42 of the Commission's Complaints, Investigations and Inquiry Rules of 2008, which stipulates that, and I quote, when the Commission is of the opinion that there appears to be a systemic or repeated violations of a particular human rights, the Commission may, on its own, initiate a public inquiry into the allegations of or into the apparent gross violations of human rights in order to determine the situation, its causes, and make appropriate orders, directives, or recommendations to deal with the situation and prevent it from reoccurring. Additionally, it is also good to state that public inquiries are carried out by mandated institutions such as the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone. The above clearly shows how the Human Rights Commission legally fits into conducting this inquiry. This inquiry looked into the conduct of law enforcement officials over the past 7 years, as earlier stated. Within the stated years, the Commission's Directorate of Complaints, Investigations and Legal Services documented 297 admissible complaints from individuals and groups related to actions of law enforcement officials against individuals and their families. It will also look at actions of citizens against law enforcement officials while they execute their duties. Over the past 7 months, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone has held 16 stakeholders engagements in Freetown with key authorities of the Sierra Leone Police, the Armed Forces, Correctional Service officials, Roads Authority, the Judiciary, Parliament, Independent Police Complaint Board, the ACC, to name a few. Subsequently, we've held several roundtable discussions and community outreaches in Kabala, Makeni, Lomsa, Kono, Bo, Waterloo, Freetown, to name a few. This was followed by roundtable discussions and statements taken by victims around the country, including Kabala, Dalakulu village by 91, just to name a few. This is not the first time that the Human Rights Commission is conducting a public inquiry. In 2010, the Commission conducted one following the illegal dismissal of 311 military officials with no work benefits, with contravenes the right to work and with adequate compensation under economic, social, and cultural rights. This matter, the HRCSL resolved through a public inquiry, and military officers who were illegally dismissed were paid. In 2012, the HRCSL also conducted a public inquiry in Bumbuna, Northern Sierra Leone, following the incident between African Minerals Limited and the Bumbuna community people, which led to the death of one lady. Both inquiries had positive conclusions. This one will be the third. To conclude, the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991 puts duties and responsibilities on all of us as citizens. I must state that Section 5, Subsection 2 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991 provides that the security, peace, and welfare of the people of Sierra Leone shall be the primary responsibility of government, and to this end, it shall be the duty of the armed forces, the police, public officials, and all security agents to protect, safeguard the people of Sierra Leone. On the same note, Section 13J of the same Constitution stipulates that every citizen shall render assistance to appropriate and legal agencies in the maintenance of law and order. How well have our law enforcement officials been doing this, and also our citizens in meeting our constitutional duties? So, to all important persons seated here, I, on behalf of the Human Rights Commission, encourage all to embrace the platform and speak out, be you public official or an ordinary citizen, on issues related to the incidents that are about to be discussed here today. To conclude, I count on all stakeholders to take ownership of this PI process so that we'll have a credible report with sharp recommendations and directives, policy reform, leading to a permanent shift on the way law enforcement officials conduct themselves in carrying out their duties and also the attitude of citizens towards them. I'd like to inform everybody here that what we're doing today is sponsored by Irish Aid, by UNDP, and also Osiwa. Okay, well, according to the law, we government will conduct public inquiries. We supposed to say the things in English, but you know, so we mix here. So really, in brief, what I say, I just don't welcome on our welcome. I want to say special welcome to the people who come out Danakulu village, they don't care so this morning, and the one that were there so na Kabala. So when I talk, with the dinner today, we then look into how we law enforcement officials, how do they do their work, and also how we set up as citizens, don't they respond to them when they, in terms of the work that they do, what we can do to them when they can come out for do their work. And I also say, I want to follow say, what to make with the conduct this kind of session. 10 kids with certain things that happen at the community, all they happen. So you say, you know what, in this talk here, for don't talk and small office, not be kind of publicly, well, make everybody know about that. I also talk, say, the Human Rights Commission, legally, we very easy for do this, because the act, that not the law, when they govern, we have to operate, it's okay. It's only for the monitor, the look what happen inside the country on human rights issues, and then we document them. It also give me the mandate for election, their body not can complain to me. We don't say what did happen so. This will affect the enjoyment of rights. We also for looking. Then one of the other rules the way the commission gets, it talk about how to conduct complaints. It gets several rules. And what did Rule 42 say? It said because we're a national human rights institution, if we observe the things that happen in the country, we're not human rights friendly, we suppose to discuss them publicly. Also, we call witnesses the when they come. Then, opportunity certain perpetrators and second come. We also get people that of what we call interested parties. Interested party mean the person not to witness, not to victim, but in know what happen. Just like what will happen, go, like Bombona. So, wait till today, we get a legal base for Tuam. So next time, because how come Human Rights Commission they can do this? So we get 3 legal bases for this. Then the other part we talk about, I say, not only first step the Human Rights Commission they conduct public inquiry in NPTS. In 2010, we will get a situation where people are inside the army, they will get them out, then say they're chronically ill and mentally imbalanced. That means most of them don't go, they don't face. They don't fit to get for work inside the army. So they will ask them out. That will 311. So all the army men they did that year, they bring their case back to the Human Rights Commission, say they don't treat them bad. So the Human Rights Commission will do a very big investigations. From the findings, we conduct public inquiry. So maybe that was 15, 20 years, don't get just get a small thing and never forgo. So through the public inquiry, be made, nobody know the past when they will die, we don't get nobody for claim the money, government will pay them. And to that, the Human Rights Commission, we get records to the effect. So we conduct this kind of sitting, we will in a while WC, what we call people that say big in the country for can be accountable to some of these things. We go back in a Bumbuna, where the people of Bumbuna will rise against, African minerals, how they treat them. Because we go to the call business and human rights, so they don't treat them well in terms of the business what they do, and that will affect the community. So they may rise, police then go to they end up shoot people and one die. So for getting to that, the Human Rights Commission will conduct a public inquiry, and the recommendations for fact will also be paid and addressed by government. So we say this is not the third one. So those are the first two one. The first two we don't get positive outcomes. And we know so to the Kabala today, and that will be different from waiting we don't do that the other side. So that actually is in brief. Then by me, they don't introduce them already. Now we lawyer Kaimko Malis, now the panel of the panel consultant them, because according to the law for getting person, and then also against Commissioner CBP, when under the oversight commissioner for regional service, what they apply. the different regions like this one in Italy. Then me, the petitioner, Sudanema, and the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone. So for this session, I will be to lead the representative, Commissioner Simiti Lavali, for chair this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Body on that clap for the chairman. So good morning, everybody. As I've been introduced, I'm Commissioner Simiti Lavali. I will be saying it in English and then in Creole, and then we continue with the process. So I just want to set the background of what we are doing today. Our chair has told you giving us reference to why we're doing this inquiry. But for this specific inquiry, because I know we have lawyers on both sides, so we need to set the stage so that everybody knows what is going on. So firstly, this public inquiry has a specific terms of reference. The allegations we are looking at span from 2015 to 2021. So only something that happened between 2015, 1st of January 2015 to 31st December 2021. And what specifically we are looking at, one, whether the law enforcement official that is brought here before this panel as a respondent, whether they use disproportionate. That means the force they used was more than was necessary for what they had to do under their duties, contrary to UN guiding principles on the use of force and firearms. Whether during the course of their duties there was loss of lives, i.e. somebody died, or there was grievous bodily harm, that means somebody was badly injured because of the excessive use of force. Contrary to Section 16 of the Constitution, Article 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, or Article 6 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. 3. Whether the right to property was violated by an official in executing their mandates. Then, whether, on the other side, the law enforcement official lost their lives, so it was a law enforcement official killed, or were they also themselves injured by members of the public while they were carrying out their lawful duties. Then, whether the law enforcement official or their institutions were held accountable for their actions in line with their individual code of conduct. Then, whether appropriate action was taken against individuals for abuses against a law enforcement official. Also, whether those law enforcement officials are in need of training to carry out their duties. Were they provided with sufficient logistic and operational resources? And finally, whether citizens were adequately aware of their rights and responsibilities with respect to their duty to respect and cooperate with law enforcement officials. So those are the terms of reference. That is what the questions and the information, the testimony that's going to give me here is looking at those issues, because that is what the inquiry we're looking at. Then specifically on how we're going to conduct the process. Firstly, this process is going to be recorded. So we have our rapporteur here. So anything you say here is going to be recorded down, so that people be aware. We also have it on Facebook Live, so those outside of this hall will also be seeing what is happening here and are aware it is publicly and internationally available. If you are here and you think you need a lawyer to represent you, you have the rights of legal representation, both sides. So for here we have the inquiry lawyer, Mr. Emmanuel Sise, who is the lawyer for the inquiry, and any of the respondents here, you are entitled to bring your legal representative with you. The next rule, if all those who are called to appear here, you cannot refuse to answer questions on any ground except if there's a privilege or it will incriminate you. But any other, apart from that, the questions you are asked, you have a duty to answer the questions. The information you provide here cannot be used outside of these proceedings. They cannot be used in the court of law, criminal law. They are purely for the proceedings within the Act. So we want you to tell us the truth, but that information is not going to be used outside of these proceedings which we are carrying today. We will be taking evidence from witnesses and oral evidence today, and we might have experts here who can testify. If in the course of the evidence you're giving, a name of somebody who is not already a witness comes up, we are at liberty to call that person also to be a witness to come and give us additional information. And we have the power to subpoena, to call somebody to come and testify, even if they are not already previously involved. If we subpoena somebody to come and they do not come, we have the powers under the Act to refer that matter as a matter of contempt to the High Court, and action will be taken accordingly against that person. This inquiry is not a criminal court of law where we determine whether you're guilty or not guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. It is a civil process. So we will hear from both sides, but the panel will also ask questions. And under our rules, if there's somebody here who has a question which they feel has not been asked, they can write a note and send it here to the inquiry lawyer, and that question can be asked, or we can give the person the opportunity to ask that question, as long as that will help us to get to the truth of the matter which we have before us here. So to the lawyers here, it's not a normal adversarial. We're trying to get to the truth of the matter here. The hearing is public, that is why it is open. Anybody from the public can come in here and listen. Unless if somebody has said we need witness protection, then it will not be public. But the hearing and what we do here will be public. And we have the power to go and visit sites if we feel like these are necessary. The official language of the inquiry will be English. This is why we are speaking English. But anybody testifying here can testify in the language that they are comfortable with, and they will be provided with an interpreter. As I said, this inquiry is only between 2015 to 2021. So those are the rules governing. I will now go over it in Creole for the benefits of those who cannot understand English. So what are they saying now? This inquiry process will start now. We look at what did not happen between 1st of January 2015 to 31st December 2021. And the issue that we will look at now this. For say whether law enforcement, whether police, the soldier man, or the correctional service, or anybody where they carry out law and order and salon, whether they use personal force when they carry out their duty. 2, whether they carry out their duty, this personal force, person die or person damaged by bad one. So you can damage, but you go for damage by bad one because it will be previous bodily harm. Contrary to what section 16 of the Constitution say, or what Article 4 of the Charter say, and what the International Covenant say. Then we look at whether they carry out their duty personal, whether they damage property. Then, apart from what they do, we also look at what other people they do there, where the law officer, the police, the soldier man, or the correctional service, or the road safety corps, if whether they do the work, where government give them for do. Person damage them or person kill them. We watch it to that day. Then whether they're law officer there, whether they only, whether reporters say this, they don't do this bad thing, whether anybody will take action against them, whether the police take action against the police, or the military take action against the soldier man, or the correctional service, whether any action they will take place. Then if you are the motor man will take action against the law officer, whether you, then they punish you for waiting there. Then one, if they need extra training, then the officer they will need training, or whether they will give them the correct tools for them to go carry out their work. And then lastly, whether the citizens, whether we know what's right for say and duty for say, for help police and soldier, for let them do their work when they follow. So now that day, this inquiry they look at, then specific issue there. Then in terms of how the matter they go, this inquiry here, with a recorder. That means say, as you can see at this table, then they write all things we will talk. Then for writer and then for publisher. Then, if you say you need lawyer, you are allowed to get lawyer. So for now, the inquiry lawyer, for the one that we say that they get complaints, you get an inquiry lawyer, and it's an investigative situation. For the one that we are respondents, they can call their own lawyer. They are allowed to call their own lawyer for can ask questions. Then anybody who can ask you questions for talk. You know, for say I'm going to talk. When you can't talk, the only thing we know to talk until you buy that case. But anything else we ask you, the lawyer they ask you for answer. Then if anything we talk now for these proceedings, now for waiting they happen here, we don't get for use and back now courts for say they can police will take this one and go use it against you. For go use it against you now other side. Now for this inquiry. So even they can't talk. When you explain, if you call other person name we know they are, we get that power they for call other person, then say come if you say we need them for them, you can talk now. If you call that person, waiting and call subpoena, then the person don't come. We get power now for charge and go to high court, say this person we tell them for kind no come, and then the courts now go to take action against them. These courts, not only the way they go to police, where they charge the matter in court, they say you don't guilty or you don't guilty. Yeah, wait till they can look at. Now one know the true waiting really happy. They will wait for decide. So yeah, the inquiry lawyer will ask question, the respondent in one side back will ask question, we say where they up here will ask question. Then if somebody gets question, if somebody said finally, please get question, if he says some very important critical question they will not ask, he can write notes, he send out to the lawyer now. Then we can decide whether he will ask that question or will ask you for asking the question. Because what you want to know is true, whether this not be. So as I said to the lawyer, not to fet they can fet now, and for them know it's true where they happen now. So until where they happen now are open public. Past somebody say no, I'm afraid for my life, one let you know, I don't talk, let all man see me, then I tell they will tell people they for gonna do pass the possible way we talk, and then the lawyer. And we get right to go visit any place where we feel safe or necessary for visit. So the inquiry and inside English, I make the talk English, they will translate them because we don't say not to all man they listen in the English good one. So Nadam really we now the rules the way they govern for them all man understand. So now we will go proper into the inquiry and we register with tell you now which cases they can go.